Hi everyone, today for my first tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a bold outlined letter or number that you can use in Cricut to design something like one of these 3D mandala letters. So these are quite useful if you print out a number of different layers and then you get those little foam squares and stick together all the layers, and it creates a nice 3D letter that you can frame and put in one of your kids' rooms or give to somebody as a gift, put it in your office. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a different program because Cricut doesn't really allow us to do this in Design Space. So I want you to go to Publisher and you're going to open up a blank A4 portrait to get started. After we've got a blank page, we are going to go up to the left hand side of the screen and click Insert, and about 3/4 of the way along we're going to click the word art and highlight the letter that you'd like, or click on the letter that you'd like. I prefer to use this first one here, which is the Fill Cream Outline Blue. A lot of the others have shadows and different effects that it's just going to take you longer to get rid of them. So if you just click on the first one, that will do the job very well. When you've clicked on that letter, you'll come up with a little box where you're going to add your text, the size of the text, and choose the font that you'd like. I'm going to demonstrate today using the letter R. So we type in R in the text box. I'm going to change the size and I'm going to make it as big as it will go. The reason being is when you're trying to resize things in different programs, if you start small and then try and resize it to a larger size, quite often the edges can get a bit blurry. Whereas if you start large and reduce the size, that's not going to happen. So I always like to try and get them as big as possible so that I've got the option to resize later down the track. Then if you'd like, you can change the font. So it automatically, in mine, goes to Arial Black. But there's many different fonts that you can choose. One thing I will say is, with your font, try not to pick a font that has really thin parts of the letter. So if you see here with the Baskerville Oldface, this bit here is really thin, and same here. If I changed it to an A, you'd see with the A the middle is really thin. What will happen if you use a font like that is that when you put it into Cricut, the really thin bits, you're just not going to get any detail into them because there'll be no space to actually put any detail. The font that I quite like to use at the moment is Bookman Old Style. It's got some nice thick lines in there. Even the embellishments on the R are nice and thick, so I just like to use that one at the moment, but there's many different types of fonts that you can use. Click OK and you'll get your letter in the middle of the screen. It's still not as big as I'd like mine to be. So if you hover over the letter with your mouse, you'll get like a four-sided arrow. Left click and drag the letter up to the top left hand corner of the page. Then hover over the bottom right hand circle until you get the two-sided arrow. Left click again and drag down almost all of the way. You want to try and keep it within those blue lines. Okay, so now I've got it at the size that I'd like, but it's still, the outline is not as thick as I need it to be, and it's still got that cream colored fill, which I want to get rid of. So let's get rid of the fill first. You should be in the Word Art Tools format. If you're not, if you're in one of the others, if it's defaulted back, just go to the Format toolbar. Make sure the shape that you want is highlighted, or the letter. Then we're going to head up to Shape Fill. Shape fill is at the moment that cream coloured, that's filling inside of the shape. We don't want any fill, so we're going to tick the box no fill, this one. Last thing to do is look at the shape outline. Okay, to change the shape outline, we just need to go to the shape outline box. We're going to go down to weight because I want to change the thickness, and the thickness of the line is determined by the weight of the line. It goes up to 6 point in just this little area here. 6 point is not going to be wide enough for what we need, so we need to click in more lines. I like to default the color back to black. I don't know why, it's just a personal preference, you don't have to. So I've changed the color there to black, and my width I've found just by trial and error that about 30 point is a great size. So change the width to 30. I'm not going to change the dash type because I want it to be a nice bold line, and click OK. So now you can see we've got our letter. It's got a nice bold outline. This is where Cricut is going to cut this outline. So it's going to cut one on the outside and another line on the inside here. And the inside of the R is where we're going to place all of our detail and all of our cutout pieces. Alright, lastly, before we take it over to Cricut, we need to save the file. So if you go up to File, Save As, I like to just save it in pictures. I'm going to call it letter R because that's what it is. And I'm going to change the file type. So I don't want it to save as a publisher file. I want to save it as a PNG file. So PNG, Portable Network Graphics format. When we save it as a PNG file, it just works a bit better in Cricut. So highlight that, make sure it's PNG. So the file name, you'll have a .png at the end, and click Save. And there we have it. So we've got our bold outlined letter that we can now input into Cricut and start making our 3D mandala letter. If you'd like to see how I do that, just have a look through my videos. I've got another video which shows you how to load those letters into Cricut and start creating a 3D letter of your very own. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.